Okay, let's start. So, welcome to all to this session that want to be like a report after COP28. I hope that every one of you is taking some rest for like the most is Christmas vacation, and I hope that you take some moments for restore some energies. Anyway, this we wanted to organize this meeting point properly to report what's happened during the conference of parties in the United Arab Emirates in Dubai. That was the from November 30 to November 12, and we organized this open Talanoa dialogue. Together with me, there are also other colleagues that have joined. And so now I will make a brief, we can say, overview of the main points. But then we will have an open discussion also to share everyone's thoughts and comments on this experience of COP. So first of all, a bit of an acknowledgement. Most of the information that you found has been produced by Osservatorio Parigi, that is a group of, we say, observers that which I'm part of, but I'm not the only one, that has monitored and constantly reported over the initiative that was there in COP. Actually, this is the team. There is me, but also other colleagues from different countries and different expertise. So let's start first of all with a brief introduction on how COP are run, and so how the structure of UNSCC is based standing to the convention. UNFCCC stands from United Framework Convention on Climate Change, and is an assembly that every year is gathering to commit over international agreements on climate change. This assembly is properly called Conference of Parties because it's collecting the 197 countries that UN countries that recognize the Paris Agreement, and all the activities are coordinated by the UNFCCC Secretariat. Beside the Secretariat, there are also some, we can say, technical bodies or more supporting bodies. Especially, I will mention two of them. That is the Subsidiary Bodies for Scientific and Technological Advice, SABSTA, and Subsidiary Body of Implementation. During the COPs, there are also the session of these two bodies that are not meeting just in COP, but also are meeting in June, usually in Bonn, to make the so-called intersessional, so the session between one COP and another. But together with, we can say, the official and governmental representative and meetings, there are also the constituencies that are the, we can say, non-state party non-party stakeholders. So the, we can say, gathering or assemblies constituencies that represent relevant stakeholders for the process. For example, the youths, researchers, farmers, indigenous people, women, and so on and so forth. All of them are meeting for 2 weeks in a venue, different venue every year. Of course, the parties for deliberate, for the making decision-making processes, the stakeholder to participate to the process with delivering, with lobbying, and so on and so forth. So let's start with the big news over COP28. That was this agreement that standing to, I report here the official website of UNFCCC that say the beginning of the end of the fossil fuel era. Why this title? Because one of the objective, we will see all the objective, but one of them was to commit over we say a declaration of we can say ending the use of fossil fuel by 2050. So this was like a remaining point from the previous COP, where there was like the, let's say, struggle between phase out, phase down from fossil fuels till 2020. It is, we can say, a science-based timeline by which is possible to stay into the objective of the Paris Agreement, that is maintaining into 1.5 degrees the increase of temperature to at 2100. So was expected to have this great declaration for saying that by 2050 there was like an end of the use of the fossil fuel era. After we can say different and we say very hard negotiation, uh, at the end of the 13th of December, with we can say one morning more than the usual negotiation, has been, we can say, agreed this declaration by which the all the countries are declaring to transitioning away from fossil fuels, all fossil fuels, by 2050. This declaration has been, we can say, considered as historical because, first of all, there was like a deadline, the 2050, and second of all, there was the mentioning of all fossil fuels. But of course, standing to some experts, this transitioning away is a, because a weak way to say that we are going to end the fossil fuels. It's not a strong way, like the phase out wording was. But anyway, is a deal that has been obtained in Dubai this year. So this was like one of the big news, the one that surely has created more clamor around the negotiation. But actually, there were different objectives into the COP28. One, of course, is the fossil fuel phase out deal that now has been translated into transitioning away deal. A new set of clean energy efficiency targets for 2030. Of course, to transitioning away from fossil fuel, we have to increase the production of energy from renewable sources. Uh, New commitment to deliver finance targets over 100 billions year by 2030. This is like a commitment related to the loss and damage fund. That is a fund to cope with the already damages country and the already damages community by climate change, and is provided properly by the Paris Agreement. And of course, the revision of the national climate plan in 2015, and so on and so forth. This particular point was enclosed into the real, we can say, result of this COP, that was the global stock take. So what is the global stock take? By the Paris Agreement, by the Article 13 of the 14 of Paris Agreement, is provided that all the countries committing their strategy, their NDCs under the Paris Agreement, need to, we can say, check, make a sort of checkpoint every 5 years regarding the real effect, the real impact of the strategy over the total, we can say, emission all over the world. So just remember that Paris Agreement is a deal that wants to reduce emission in atmosphere that are the cause of climate change, and also all the strategies related to cope with climate change crisis. But anyway, it's important to, we can say, iteratively, to have a sort of control on how the thing is going. It's not just make a declaration 1 year, but there is the idea to monitor every 5 years the situation, the status, and also to envision the next steps and next strategies in a sort of feedback every 5 years. Okay, so this COP was the first global stocktake of after Paris Agreement. So a moment where all the plans has been evaluated, all the plans has been, we can say, assessed, and where standing to the plan and standing to the situation was necessary to, we can say, steer into the proper way, and was probably the approval on this COP of this global stocktake. Global Stocktake report has been, we can say, released in July by the Secretariat, and over this report and over the, we can say, Secretariat analysis and Secretariat synthesis report, the countries need to agree on what was the final, we can say, balance, the final, we can say, situation regarding the Paris Agreement goal. Just to say to you, actually, even though the Paris Agreement want to maintain the temperature by 100 sorry, by 1.5 degrees to 2100, we are not in line with this we say trajectory. We are not in line with this we say objective, but we are a bit we say out of line, especially we stand into the estimation and the models based on the current commitments, on the current NDCs. We are having we will have a temperature increase by 2.4 degrees into 200,000. So we are not in line with the say objective of Paris Agreement. So the idea of the global stock take, as I was mentioning before, was to, we can say, create sort of ambition loop by which every stock take is sort of a moment where we can set the agenda, we can formulate policy, and then we can create more ambition into the NDCs and so on and so forth. And was for this reason very important to deliver this COP, because without a good delivery, without we can say a result, all the architecture of Paris Agreement was at risk, because there was no way to you can say improve and increase the ambition. As I was saying before, standing to the report and the synthesis report that the Secretariat has done before COP, we are not completely in line. So standing, if you see this graph here, the desired line is this one in green that is related to all the countries that are committing to stand into 1.5 degrees. 2 degrees is, we can say, a more last threshold. Actually, we are on the red line. Okay, so we are not actually in line with the Paris Agreement. We say we need to increase our commitment as a global community and so on and so forth. Anyway, even though we are not in line, from the first deliveries of say the commitment of our Paris Agreement, there is a slight improvement. That does mean that we can say even though we are not okay, we are not like on the desired result, a continuous push and a continuous we can say pressure over like a better engagement of the states, it's we can say making some change. Okay, so from here to here there is a slight change. Anyway, we are not still in line, and this was like what the global stock take need to accept, we can say receive, and then commit towards new strategies to increase this ambition. So finally, this the global stock take has been there's been also the say the cover decision of this COP28. So has been we can say the document that we say take the overall result of the negotiation for these years, and which has been the results committed by the global stock take. First of all, the final document contains we can say sorry, if you can mute yourself 1 second. Someone? Okay. Okay. So first of all, the country has committed to triple renewable energy capacity globally and double the average annual rate of energy efficiency by 2030. In particular, we will see that has been open a financial instrument, a sort of accelerator fund that's called Alterra, that was like presented the second day of the COP, that properly wanted to triple the energy capacity coming from renewable energy. There's been an accelerated effort to phase out on undisposal coal energy. The abandon of fossil fuel by this transitioning away by 2015, and so on and so forth. So actually, the document surely contains positive elements that are going into an increase of ambition. Of course, there are also, this is the pros, we can say, the good result that we can resume. But of course, there are also some problematic elements, especially that the language on fossil fuel is considered sometimes a little bit lax. For example, transitioning away is a smooth way rather than phase out. So, like a less strong decision, we can say, on abandoning the fossil fuel. Gas is considered still like as a transitioning fuel. So, is we can say considered an energy source that is still allowed for manage the transition. There is no progress on coal phase out. Coal is in a way is still present, even though there is a mentioning of unabated coal. And we can say there is a limited progress on fossil fuel subsidies. Anyway, different analysts they say that even though we can say results should be expected more ambitious, we have to we have to take this delivery as a first starting point, something that without that surely the situation could be worse and so on and so forth. That's why also we can say the big title, the beginning of the era, the end of fossil fuel. No, so it's just the beginning, but at least the beginning is right up. Anyway, in general, even though like there was like a good consideration of the global stock take decision, I want to mention that regarding the other elements of agenda, because as I say to you, there are also other elements of the agenda. This COP has been registered the highest number of delayed or we can say redemanded elements. That means that for other elements of the Paris Agreement that are not the global stock take, the COP has not achieved any decision. So the parties has been not be able to agree on the final document. We can say the green one are the one that are agreed, the negotiation stream that are agreed. The red one and the orange one and yellow one are the one then not not been agreed in any case. And so that means that overall, even though this JST decision, the COP has been, we can say, very empty, sorry, very empty of full contents. Okay, there are things, for example, the Article 6, that is another negotiation stream that is not achieved. Gender and climate was agreed, but with difficult and so on and so forth. So has been a bigger struggle regarding the negotiation part. So now I'll go a little bit fast on the next slide because I want to leave the part of the discussion. But just to say that, of course, it's important that this element of the Paris Agreement need to contribute for a sort of in a sort of ambition cycle. So every stock take, every let's say checkpoint, it's important that the parties need to increase the speed by the transitioning away, and this is what the was expected from COP28. So here in this graph, you can more understand what does it mean, no? So in the first NDCs, we arrive here, for example, in the first declaration, but it's expected that the second NDCs are not just making this step, but maybe can make more step, more step, more step, since the neutrality that is expected to be achieved by 2050. Of course, we are not in line with that, but as I showed before, there are some improvement. These improvements are not enough, and so we have to push for like more strong decision and more speed into transitioning away from the say emittive sources from the fossil fuels. But just to say mention how the things are going and so on and so forth. I will say a few words about Article 6. Article 6 is basically the article of the Paris Agreement that is going to let cooperate the states over their national strategy, over their NDCs, in order to properly increase this ambition. And in a way, it's going to substitute the so-called Kyoto Protocol that was like this carbon market system and so on and so forth. With a more bottom-up approach, more, you say, involving also the developing countries and so on and so forth. And the Article 6 is based on the so-called international transferable mitigation outcomes that are, you say, these units of mitigation outcomes, we can say, that can be in a way exchanged by the states to achieve more the objective to reduce the emission caused by the human activities. This article is composed by different sub-articles. Everyone is defining some point. I will not go long on that, but just to say that unfortunately, for example, this element was one of the ones that has not agreed. So even though a positive result, one positive result, there are many, we can say, non-result. So something that has not been uh, achieved or arrived to a good conclusion. This COP was, we can say, this COP was, we can say, surely a movement of great funds or great finance. Here I'm listing here some of the commitment and pledges that the countries has given towards the global funds to address climate change. Even though the objective on $100 billion per year for the loss and damage has not been achieved, we can say only 725 million per year has been achieved. So there is still a great gap to be moved. At least we can say that the loss and damage for this COP has not remained empty, as well as other funds and other, we can say, areas. In general, we can register that this scope has moved a lot of financial streams in a good and in a bad way. Now we have to monitor, of course, how these funds can be used and will be used by the states. But surely, we can say this COP regarding finance has been not static at all. In conclusion, we can say that, of course, for fossil fuels, the situation is as I described it. There is this transitioning away, there is this triple of renewable energy, but there are still loopholes, and there is no mentioning, for example, on equity. So how to distribute the efforts, how to distribute these commitments regarding the transition out from fossil fuel to 2050. And also in terms of adaptation, that is, we can say, the other phase of the Paris Agreement, the language is still a little bit weak. There is no planning, there is not resource allocation, is a bit vague. The documents that has been resulted has been a bit vague. So this was like a little bit about the negotiations, so the Paris Agreement point. But I will also mention some elements regarding the side events. So something that is happening around the negotiation. So not just the Paris Agreement itself, but also all the universe and ecosystem that is running around the COPs. This COP has been the first that has declared the strict relationship between climate and health. For the first time historically, there's been like a ministerial meeting of all the Ministry of Health that has declared like the COP28 Climate and Health Declaration, defining that health is at a certain point of the climate action, and also strengthening the action on health system and so on and so forth is crucial to deliver on climate action. There was also a lot of professional that has participated, a lot of also, you can say, pledges and so on and so forth. Health has been one thing relevant for this scope. Energy, as I said, also has been relevant. Has been launched this Alterra. Alterra is a financial instrument that want to collect and catalyze investment to double, triple uh, the investment on renewable energy sources and so on and so forth. There has been also several side events, for example, this one on energy sufficiency. So not just energy efficiency, not just energy use, but also energy avoidance. So avoid energy consumptive lifestyle, energy consumptive action, and so on and so forth. Agriculture, I will make show a video because also for agriculture, we can say has been very interesting. So on this one, I will maybe show a video. Okay, let me check if I can. Okay.
We just finished a historic COP, I think, for food, and very pleased to be part of that with the COP28 food systems team. The UAE committed that they would make food systems a top priority in this year's agenda, recognizing already that climate is having major impacts on food systems and agriculture around the world for food security, but also recognizing there's just a tremendous opportunity in food systems in order to change the way that we live going forward for people, for planet, and prosperity. And so they elevated the food systems agenda in COP28. And at the core of that was the Emirates Declaration for Sustainable Agriculture, Resilient Food Systems, and Climate Action.
Opportunity for us is how do we secure food, food security through rice, which is a dominant crop. Over 4 billion people consume it on the planet. It's a $275 billion value chain that is set to double in consumption by 2050. And so when you start adding these facts up, there's a very clear, compelling need for us to take some action, and that's what RISE is attempting to do. What we really need to start bringing into focus is real meaningful platforms that go deeper into specific crops and help transform individual value chains. And our focus is helping all these smallholding farmers adopt more sustainable practices, become more resilient, improve their bottom line, helping them stay in the business of growing rice while helping lower emissions and reduce water consumption and inputs significantly.
Earlier this year in New York, we have announced our commitment to scale regenerative agriculture around the world through concrete solutions and systems that can build resilience and increase the economic cases and profitability of farmers. One of those systems that I'm really excited about, that we're really excited about, is direct seeded rice, particularly in the Asian region. And direct seeded rice has the potential to decrease up to 40% of GHG emissions, particularly methane, and significantly contributes to water optimization, which is so important, particularly to water-scarce regions. And we are open to other partners that want to come that can complement capabilities and partner with us in this journey. And last but not least, we have committed ourselves publicly to scale this up to 1 million hectares by 2030. So we are walking the talk, we are partnering, and what we really want is to bring the benefits back to our customers, the farmers.
So today in Southeast Asia, we see farmers who are living below poverty line, but their only source of financing either comes with a very high price tag, or sometimes it's just not very structured, right? So for example, in Southeast Asia, the legalized lending rate to smallholder farmers can be as high as 30 to 40%. Our credit card rate is 25%. So how can we justify these farmers who are producing our food paying 30% for their loan? And when they don't have access to formal financing that are affordable, they turn to informal financing. It may be convenient, right, borrowing from family, borrowing from friends, but a lot of times such mechanism also lead to a debt spiral. Right? So what Aggregate is really trying to do is to try to bring them affordable financing for the farmers, but also make sense out of, and build a business case for the lenders for them to invest in this untapped market.
Okay, this video say show a bit the one of the results. Of course, there are not only this one, but just to say that overall comment over say the agricultural sector is that uh, since this COP, finally we are talking about the transformation of food system. That was like one of the main points also coming from the COP27, where a new program related to agriculture was adopted that was called the Sharm el-Sheikh Work Program of Implementation of Climate Action in Agriculture and Food System. And that's important because it's not just agriculture by itself, but the whole, we can say, value chain of transformation of food that need to be revised in a more sustainable way. And on this, as we saw from the financial flows, also finance has moved into this direction over COP. I just conclude quickly, and then I give the floor and space for comments and questions. Just 1 second that I go to the presentation still. Okay. Okay. One mention to the ancestral knowledge, also because it's been relevant for us as a climate social forum. Even though this COP was not the one that surely can be registered by the participation and accessibility, because it was very prohibitive and very exclusive somehow also for the venue and so on. As at least from my experience, I saw a great participation and active engagement of indigenous communities. Also, I attended the side event into the science pavilion, that is the IPCC pavilion, we can say, where there was kind of a recognition and a very good dialogue regarding science, traditional science, and indigenous knowledge. In the Climate Social Forum 2023, we dedicated a full track on the role of valorization of indigenous knowledge. And I think that that's very important. As Climate Social Forum, also we participated to a side event organized by our colleague from Governance Hub that was also presented during the Climate Social Forum 2023 that made this side event on into the Nigeria pavilion over indigenous health, so indigenous medicine, we can say, and how indigenous medicine can be really rediscovered properly on a concept of more holistic approach regarding health. So I can say that surely things need to be improved, but there is a good dialogue and good starting on the valorization of the indigenous knowledge. And indigenous are more and more active and actively participating to the negotiation processes. I participated also to this side event that was very interesting. That is the use of artificial intelligence for climate action. This is a brand new topic, completely brand new, and the technology mechanism over, you can say, the UNFCCC is studying how to implement this topic. Surely something is moving, and we will follow this because several initiatives deal with, I don't know, metaverse and data science and so on and so forth. But for now, just say that it's a brand new topic that is start to be interesting and discussed. And there are, for the friends from Kenya, I met a very interesting initiative based in Kenya that is properly using AI to furnish data for farmers. And so we will know more about that and so on and so forth. Uh, regarding last thing, regarding can say community-based initiative, a great space has been given to the so-called energy communities. So communities that are autosufficient in terms of energy, that can share the energy produced by the solar panels, wind turbines, and so on. And very important, together with the global stocktake, the youth constituency, Yango, has delivered the youth stock take. Okay, so the point of view of the situation from the youths regarding youth inclusion and participation into the process and into climate action. Maybe at the end, I will share with you the link to the Youth Global Stock Take. I really invite you to go into that because it's a very detailed and we can say um, curated overview of the youth participation processes inside the UNFCCC. That's it of my side. I will now like open the floor for discussion. I know that some of the colleagues have attended COP, and I know, for example, Pauline was there, another was there. Maybe I'll give you the floor to them to share some thoughts.
Not much from my side, Domenico, but that's a lovely roundup of things. I would love if you could share the PowerPoints with me so that I could go through it again. Thank you.
I don't know if you have, I don't know, also comment in general of your experience about COP, something that you want to share.
Generally, what I did at COP, I was part of the organizing team of Climate Life Pavilion. So Climate Life Pavilion was a pavilion for young people that are using music and arts to empower and educate people about climate issues or climate change issues. So we have several activities at the pavilion, roundtable discussions. We had workshops, we had concerts that we organized within the pavilion and at the Extreme Hangout, and brought in several artists to perform there. And then I did also something with Climate Clock. Climate Clock is like a tool that uses like the numbers. The numbers in that clock are numbers from the IPCC, and then they're made simple for people to understand what time they need to take action. So, and solutions that are there for people to do in order to attain the 1.5, to attain the net zero agreement. So generally, those are the things that I did at COP. I came towards the end of the first week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to you, Pauline, for sharing. I don't know if there are questions or comments by the audience. I see Larry, Charles. Oh, Larry, please. Unmute yourself. You're muted.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very balanced. You showed the positive aspects, the steps that were made in the right direction, and where progress wasn't made. I'm always a bit disappointed when I see some activists, commentators, just dismissing the COP as a complete failure, greenwashing, et cetera, et cetera. We've seen so many times reported how there were 2,500 fossil fuel lobbyists there. I don't necessarily think that anyone who is somehow working for a fossil fuel company is a lobbyist. It may actually be a scientist, an engineer, whatever. But I think what people tend to miss is the fact that aside from the negotiations, there are all these side events, which some of them you mentioned, and all of these just informal meetings between people who are either academic or um, analysts or activists or indigenous people or youth representatives. Um, and it's a once in a year chance for all these people to meet face to face, to get to know each other, to share their experiences, to form new partnerships. And to me, that is extremely valuable. So, when people say, "Oh, look at the carbon footprint of flying around the world to go to this meeting," well, yes, but you you could not accomplish the same doing it online. Clearly, that there's still a need for people to sort of be able to meet in a physical place.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Rally. Yeah, I agree with your point. Sure, it's important to be critical of the process because there's a way also to let the process grow and let the process improve. But it's important also to not be always catastrophic. And this is a reflection also as we can say climate activist and environmental, we can say steward, as the secretariat has called upon us. And we need to reflect on to do not. I mean, Paris Agreement is imperfect, but it's the only deal, global deal regarding climate that we have. And be critic, be well, we can say, be critic on this is essential, but demonize and destroy it will be even worse. So uh, thank you for pointing out that. I don't know if there are other question, comment, or also curiosities. I mean, Larry, Pauline, and me were there, and maybe we can respond eventually to some of your questions. In general, I say that the meeting is also recorded, and we will also upload on our YouTube channel. And so, any case for the people that I saw that there are several not takers. So for the people that are not taking, surely we will share by email the recording and so on and so forth. Great result, as if I can say, you can say standing in the mobilizing of resources and finance that, of course, need to be monitored and need to be transparent. The issue on transparency was an issue that also with Larry we discussed a little bit even in COP. But I mean that means that the things are not static, and so that's what was the risk. For example, other COPs, for example in Madrid, has registered a really, let's say, static result. So nobody, no, the COP of Madrid was kind of passing by with really few news and few updates. This COP surely should be better, but of course was difficult environment. Saudi Arabia is surely not the most climate friendly country. Sorry, Saudi Arabia. Emirates is not the most friendly country. And as Larry was saying, this COP has registered the highest number of like I say, fossil fuel lobbyists and so on and so forth. That cannot be surely all lobbying for fossil fuel, but was an element that we registered and we take attention on. The next COP is in Azerbaijan, so another, we can say, country that is not so is one of the, we can say, most relevant exporters of gas, of natural gas. I think that the strategy of the secretariat is now is to go in properly in that countries that can be the problem to the transition and try to obtain even from them sort of radical change, even though it's not radical, but can be smoothly changed, but surely improve the situation of standing there resistant. And yeah, we will see. But surely the process is continuing. Now it's just a starting. This declaration is just a starting point that need to be sustained by the action, by the monitoring, by implementation, especially, and by civil society that is, for example, us, that need to be always active as it is, and even more, because in my opinion, is the real engine for the change. No, um, not just the, you can say, the Paris Agreement, but also the civil society activation and so on, and the CSOs, the community supported organization. I don't know, Charles, if you want to say something about CSOs activation or. Okay, if there are no other questions, I think that we can briefly close. Thank you for attending. This was, like, as I said, a moment to report to the Climate Social Forum community the result of COP, at least from the person that has the opportunity to attend. We are trying to always do like this, to share, so that into the logic of the Climate Social Forum, there is the sharing knowledge and we say create synergies by also sharing information. Thank you very much for attending to all. Thank you to Larry and to Pauline that has participated and shared their experience at COP. And telling that, I can just wish you Happy New Year. We will see the next time in the Happy New Year with the great news. I will not anticipate too much, but we are still working on the new Agri-Hackathon program. And good news are coming from that side, starting from Kenya. I will not say nothing. It's a surprise. Bye bye.